This class is concerned with search engines and is one class amongst a few on this topic. So it's worth looking at the others to make sure you've got the sequence in the right order and you follow the story as it develops. In this session we're going to deal with just a few simple points. First of all, we're going to talk about search generalization, and in particular when we type into a search engine some query and we get very few hits coming back, we want to look at the likely causes for this. Why is it the search engine has only picked up a few from our query? So what we need to do is to generalize the search query. We need to make it more general. We need to widen the search so that it will pick up more and give us a better chance of trying to find what we're looking for. There are pattern matching queries. Eliminate one or more specific keywords, for example. So when we type in a query, what we're really typing in are search keywords. These are keywords that the search engine will look at our query, it'll pick up on these important words, and it'll try to match them against what the webmasters, the people who have designed the websites, have put in as their keywords. Now if we're getting too few hits, perhaps we've got too many keywords in our query. Perhaps what we need to do is to drop some of the keywords. So we should make our query less specific to see if we're going to increase our hit rate. And in a different class on search engines and search, I talked about Boolean Logic and Boolean queries. And here's the case of removing keywords with AND operators, or delete the not item, or use the OR operator. Now that sounds a bit confusing, but really what we're just saying here is try to reduce the extent of the search. So if we're looking for cars and diesel cars, and we're getting too few hits, remove one, take away the and, cars and diesel, take away that and just say cars. Let's see what we bring up with cars and try to work our search in that way. So we may look at the type of query that we've typed in and try to modify it so as to widen the search. It may be a good idea to use a meta search engine. Now the meta search engine is one we talked about in a previous class as well, a different part of the search engine class. A meta search engine is one which, if you like, it aggregates other search engines. So we type into the meta search engine a query, and instead of looking for it itself, looking for keywords on the internet itself, what it does is it looks at other search engines and see what they're bringing back, and it aggregates what they bring back and presents that to us. So it's like using several search engines all at once. It's like using Google, Yahoo, Lycos, and various search engines all at once. So it may improve our hits to use a meta search engine. Now what happens if we have too many hits? Well, we need to specialize our research. It's going the opposite direction. If we've got too many hits, if we've got pages and pages of hits, we type in a query and we get pages and pages of results, we've got too many. What we want is something a bit more specific. So we might add more keywords. We type in cars, diesel, 2015. Now we've got keywords, we've got three big keywords: cars, diesel, 2015. In other words, we're only interested in cars that are diesel engines and were made in 2015. Now that would reduce the number of hits because it's excluding all the other cars, all the petrol engine cars, all the cars made in different years, so it will reduce the number of hits. And again, we could play around with our query using this Boolean query logic we talked about previously. So we could put in ands and add nots and so on to try and improve the search. So we're looking for cars not petrol. Now that could bring in cars powered by electric, cars powered by diesel, and so on. So we're using Boolean logic to try and improve what we want, and what we want is to reduce the number of hits and be more specific. It may also be a situation where we should try using capital letters when we talk about nouns, for example, proper nouns. So if we're talking about the name of some person, put the name in capital letters, which is what we should do anyway, basic rules of grammar. But again, that would perhaps refine the search. And we could use directories to locate the information. We could try to go to specialist sites and try and find the information from the specialist sites. I keep mentioning Yahoo as a good example of this, but it is a good example. We go to Yahoo and type in our query there and see if they can bring back something more specific. So we've got too many hits, we need to reduce it so as to help us find the information efficiently. So that's the way we approach searches. We have either too many hits when we type in a query or too few, or we may be lucky of course and get the right number, 3 or 4, which are very specific and address the query we've typed in. Generally speaking, if we got too many or too few, we must alter the search to try and regulate it, to try and fine-tune it to get it to what we want. So this is a short session on how to make a query in a search engine. And that's all I'm going to do on this session, so I'm going to leave it at that and say thank you for watching.